It is Wednesday, my dudes, and you know what that means. It is time once again to revisit Adventure Woods. It still feels weird to not say revisit Velocity Lake, but we're going to be revisiting Adventure Woods for another installment of Planet Coaster Chaos. Yes, I guess the last two episodes I kind of started off by saying, hey, guys, I used to always make Planet Coaster content every Wednesday, and I thought I'd restart that, but now I feel like that's a tired concept. Okay, you guys get it, you're hip, you're with it, you understand what's happening right now. We're making some Planet Coaster content, and if you saw last episode, about last week's episode, I'm still not sure. I still haven't published the first episode, so I've got no idea where these videos are being posted or what the frequency is, but if you saw the last episode of this series, if I ever actually had the guts to publish it in the first place, you will have heard me say that this episode, episode 3, will be the construction of a monorail. And look at that. That prophecy has been fulfilled. I have built it. That's the end of the episode. There's my end screen. Those are my Patrons on screen. Of course, I'm just joking. It'll be a bit of a rubbish episode there. The rest of the episode is going to be basically building the monorail station and sort of connecting it to the park. Obviously, the monorail station needs to be integrated to that pathway there. So we're going to build some fencing, some shrubbery, that sort of thing. That's the episode there. So we can now begin the nightmare that is Matt Lowne's rambling of, chaos and disorder and entropy that these commentaries inevitably devolve into. So why not be self-aware about it and just preface this right off the bat within the first 2 minutes? How long is this episode even going to be? I'm going to zoom out. I'm guessing it's going to be about 22 minutes or so. You might not remember when I said this in the first episode because that was a long old episode and I said quite a lot and it was all a bit manic. You might not remember, but basically I no-lifed Planet Coaster for about 6 weeks or so. I just built an entire theme park. I didn't really have any serious I kind of played the game for me. I really wanted to play the game again. I thought, I'm going to build a park, I'm going to film it, and if I make a series out of it, fine. But that's not why I'm playing this game. I'm playing this game because I really love Planet Coaster. But then I thought, I love money. I love a bit of YouTube money. And, my second yacht, it ain't going to pay for itself, so why not make a series out of it? All of that was me being facetious, by the way. I'm aware there are people that have very inflated ideas of, how much I earn. I've just for kicks and giggles, I've Googled my name with Matt Lowne net worth on Google. And there are sites that claim I'm worth $3 million. And guys, I wouldn't be making Planet Coaster content if I was worth $3 million. I'd be going on my second jet ski holiday, okay? I'm not doing this for the money, especially Planet Coaster. These videos, I don't know if I've even uploaded the first 2 videos. If I haven't, then I haven't uploaded this one, so it's all a bit of a moot point. But Planet Coaster videos, they ain't profitable. I'm not doing this for the money. I'm doing this because I love playing Planet Coaster. I love making you all suffer with these commentaries, in which I make no real points or establish any real firm ground, and yet inexplicably take a very long time to meander through. Anyway, looping back to how I began that massive tangent, I said that the reason I know how long this video is probably going to be is because, again, I no-lifed the game for 6 weeks without real any intention of making a series. So I basically just completed the entire theme park. The theme park you're watching me build right now, that's all done. And there'll probably be moments throughout the recording of these videos in which I'll be hit with a sudden spurt, oh, I need to do this, and add that to the park. But by and large, it's done. So I've got all the footage I need to have. So what I did was I slapped all of the footage into Sony Vegas and then just sped it up to what I felt was a good speed where, things were getting built fast, but not so fast that the footage was a bit nauseating. And then I sort of said, okay, this would be a good episode, then this would be a good episode, aiming between 30 to 60 minutes per episode, sort of divvying it up in that sort of sense. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. And I must say now, I apologize. There was a moment in episode 2 where the footage was going back very, very fast. It was me constructing the transfer table, the transfer track to transfer the roller coaster cars of the only roller coaster of this park so far. Transfer the cars from the main track into the shed. It was way too fast, I know. And I'm guessing that's what the comments of that video were. If, again, hypothetically, I've uploaded that video, maybe I think if that wasn't the consensus of the comments, then phew, but also, oh no, I've now exposed it. But yeah, apologies for that. I'll try and avoid that in the future. But yeah, it's difficult to get a sense of how fast the footage is going to be when I'm editing, because I've said before, like, the footage is playing back to me in my preview window in Sony Vegas at like 4 FPS on a good day. So I guess a lot of you maybe aren't familiar with editing software, but basically you kind of have to like speed the act of... So if I took... going back to the beginning, if I were to drop a piece of Planet Coaster recording that I made, just dropped it into Sony Vegas, didn't edit it, didn't do any color correction or any sharpening or any speeding up or what have you, it would play back fine. Probably like not great, like probably like 30 FPS, not 60 FPS, but you get it, right? Plays back at a pretty watchable speed. But once you speed it up to between 4 to 20 times normal speed, that puts a lot of stress on the CPU to be able to play. You can't play it back in real time because it's just too much for the computer to handle. And then adding all the color correction as well. The GPU stressing out, the CPU stressing out. You know, it's a lot, and it just can't be done. You know, computers aren't there yet, and the software I've got probably isn't there yet either. Like, it's a pirated copy of Sony Vegas. I'm not going to lie to you. And I'm not that ashamed of telling you that, because I considered, right, back, this was like years ago, I mentioned this very thing in Velocity Lake, but that was such a long time ago. I'm guessing you might not know, or you might not have ever seen Velocity Lake, so I'll just go over it again. I was at that point in YouTube where I'm like, you know what, it's now a profitable thing for me, I'm making money, it's only right that I buy the software that I pirated when I was 14 as a teenager, you know, because I guess I didn't need to clarify I was a teenager when I was 14, because 14 is a teenage year. But yeah, I thought I should pirate. I shouldn't. I said that wrong. I shouldn't pirate it. I should purchase this, because now it's actually like a thing I'm using for business use. I should purchase it. But you can't purchase the edition of Sony Vegas that I'm used to. So I thought I'm gonna get the latest, and it's not even Sony Vegas anymore. It's Magic, I think, that owns it. I've got no idea. It's not Sony that owns it either way. So I went to their website, and I instead of just purchasing outright, I thought I'll just download the 1 month trial that you get. And again, this was a few years ago. I didn't even know if this is even a thing you can do anymore, like getting a trial of it. But whatever. I got a trial of it, and I hated it. I couldn't stand it. It was just, everything was wrong, and I couldn't use it. I just wasn't as productive. So, I mean, maybe it's objectively better, but I guess I'm just used to it at this point. I'm like, I hate this. I don't like it. It's confusing. I don't like new things. I'm just going to go back to the version of video editing software I know. And that was the software that I pirated when I was 14. And that's my story. So that's why I run a pirated copy of Sony Vegas. If Sony ever gives me a platform on which... Can you even purchase Sony Vegas anymore? I'm sure I tried this, and you can't legally purchase it anymore, so I don't feel that guilty. But yeah, I cannot legally purchase the software anymore. I don't feel too bad about having a pirated version of it. So, I'm now going to talk about the video on screen. I mentioned this last episode, but again, I'm just going to clarify a couple of things in case, you know, you weren't there or don't remember, because, you know, who would want to remember that mess of a video? Basically, in Planet Coaster, if you were to just make a park in sandbox mode, you start off with a path that just emerges from this cave, and guests just spawn inside the cave and they come up this path, and you connect your theme park to this path. That's how guests get to your park. But if you go inside that cave, which I guess not many players do, but if you go inside that cave and look, there's actually like a physical thing. It's called the guest spawner, and that's the thing that spawns the guests. I know, who'd have thought? In Scenario Editor, which is what I'm building this park in, you can actually edit a few more things in the game that you wouldn't normally be able to edit. Blah, 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 I said that very fast. In Scenario Editor, let's try to say that again so you can actually hear what I say. In Scenario Editor, you can edit a couple of things that you wouldn't normally be able to change in like Planet Coaster sandbox mode, including the location of the guest spawner. So I like building monorail stations in my theme parks with the monorail just disappearing into the hills. It's to no real destination, but then I build a guest spawner inside the monorail station building, so it looks like the guests are coming from the monorail. That's how they've got to the park. I am going to build a car park as well, but this kind of it serves a couple of good advantages. Firstly, it's a bit more realistic than guests just emerging from some random cave in the side of a hill. They're coming from a piece of public transit infrastructure, and also it means that, you know, I have an excuse to not build as big of a car park. Like if you look at a real theme park, like the classic example is SeaWorld Orlando, right? Because that was the whole big thing about animal rights, where the whales have such a small enclosure compared to the size of the park, and then that in itself is very small compared to the size of the parking lot for the actual park itself. It's disgusting, by the way. I refuse to go back to SeaWorld for, because of their mistreatment of animals. But that's besides the point. Parking lots are huge relative to, like, if you were to build a realistic sized parking lot in Planet Coaster, it would be like 3/4 of the map, or at least, a good half to 2/3. I don't want to do that, and I don't think many people would. So instead, I'm going to build a relatively modestly sized parking lot, and then have this imaginary hub land where it's a big parking lot, which is free to park in, but it's very far away. You got to get out your car and get on a monorail to get to the actual theme park itself. And if you want to park in the parking lot in the theme park, you got to pay a premium, sonny. These roller coasters ain't going to pay for themselves. So that's my headcanon there. That's why I'm doing that. And you will see later on, you'll already seen this if you've seen the previous episode, but later on, if you haven't, you'll see some like a custom graphic I've built in the game. That was a weird way of phrasing this. I'm going to say it again. In Planet Coaster, you can place TV screens and you can place images on those TV screens, but you can put custom images on those TV screens. So in Photoshop, I made a little fake monorail timetable in which it showed lots of departures to a place called Hubland. That's that. That's my tale there. So how long are we doing? We were 11 minutes in. Well, that's probably about halfway, isn't it? Now is the sort of time where I talk about kind of, I don't know, things going on in my life. And I'm pretty tired, to be honest. I've just got back from Bike Park Wales. I mentioned in episode 2 that I'm going to Bike Park Wales this weekend. Well, that weekend has just gone by. It's Monday now, and I'm in a lot of pain, guys. I was very, very achy. I'm assuming I'll have posted a video to my second channel at this point of the GoPro edit. I'm sort of editing that, and I got bored, so I thought I'd switch to Planet Coaster a bit and do stuff on that and then go back to that. But so far, the GoPro edit, it's looking like it's going to be like 45 minutes. It's a long old video. So maybe not seen all of it, but basically, we decided to go to Bike Park Wales, and we hit loads of trails. It was great, but I made the mistake of thinking, like, we'll do loads of blue trails. Okay, I'm actually going to rewind a bit because I'm guessing people might not know about bike park and mountain bike trail grading. Mountain bike trails, they're kind of graded on a few. Oh, by the way, there's the monorail. I just looked at the screen at just the right moment. There's that graphic I was talking about with the monorail departures. Anyway, yes, like ski slopes, I suppose, mountain bike trails are graded on a colour scheme. So in the UK, and specifically Bike Park Wales, it's graded differently elsewhere. Kind of the easiest trails are graded green. Those are basically like footpaths almost. They're dead easy. Anyone can do them. Then you've got blue trails, which are like intermediate. Like, you've got to kind of know how to handle a mountain bike, but they're not that bad. Like, there's no big jumps or drops or anything like that. Any drops or jumps that are there are easily bypassable. And then you've got red trails, which have you kind of have to know how to jump and drop to do those sorts of trails. Blacks and purples, I think in the US it's more common to say black and double black diamond, but in Bike Park Wales it's black and then you got purple. Those trails, they're way beyond what I am at this point, so I didn't consider those. But yeah, those were the kind of trails I did. And we made the mistake of saying, on the first day, let's just do the blues to get warmed up, and then on day 2, we'll do the reds. We'll be in the swing of things. We'll have a good feel of a bike park. This is the first time we've really been to a major bike park, so I don't really know what to expect. So we warmed up, basically ready to do red trails. And come day 2, I woke up and my arms were very achy. I was in a lot of pain. We did one trail, like a blue, just to get warmed up on Sunday, and it was tough. I was in a lot of agony. My arms were like really, really hurting. So I didn't get to do that many red trails in the end. So if anyone commented on that video, if I ever uploaded it on my second channel, saying, why did you only do blue trails? Well, that's why. There's even a part in that video that I've edited at the moment, so I know that it's in there. If I ever uploaded it, it was a couple of my mates, Dom, that you might know from my second channel. You might know Ollie as well. He's in Off the Hook, that old series. They go off and do a red, and I just stay on the blue and just meet them at the end because my arms are so painful. I don't know what I mean. I've got kind of tendon damage in my left hand. When I was a young lad, when I was 12, I got hit by a car on my bike, and the handlebar sort of went into my wrist and ripped its way down. It tore my tendon, basically, so I had to get that rebuilt. So I kind of have an excuse. I've got kind of long-standing tendon damage there. But yeah, so now if I go back to Bike Park Wales, and I definitely will at some point, I know to do more reds on the first day when I'm actually physically capable and not just a completely broken human by that point. So I realize now that I'm pretty far through the video at this point. We've built the whole monorail station. I'm trying to think if is there anything I need to talk about. I've already talked about the monorail departure board graphic thing I made in Photoshop. The actual design of the monorail station itself was based on a maglev station in China, the Shanghai-maglev train. It connects. I'm trying to think. What else it connects? It's in Shanghai, right? And it connects. I think it's an airport. Yeah, it's Shanghai Airport. I just Googled this. I just opened the Wikipedia page and then resumed my commentary just to confirm that what I was giving was true facts. Okay, yeah, it connects Shanghai Airport with kind of the city, I guess. But if you open the Wikipedia page of Shanghai Maglev train, the picture that Wikipedia page uses shows an image of the station that I used as a muse for the design of this monorail station. Now, it's not perfect, as in this isn't a recreation of that building by any means. I just sort of used it as an architectural muse to kind of spur on the creative juices and make something that I think looks pretty good. I am genuinely super proud of how this monorail station came out. I feel like monorail stations are the one thing that I'm getting better at. I always found it super difficult to build good monorail stations. So Mirror Lake, for example, I would show pictures on screen right now, but I kind of lost all my screenshots from when that whole blue screen of death debacle with my computer happened. Is anyone familiar with that? I'm guessing most of you are, because I think most people that watch this series are kind of the more, I don't want to say die-hard fans, because I don't like dividing my fan base up based on what they want to watch, because I understand completely why a lot of people wouldn't want to watch Planet Coaster, but I'm just saying that statistically you probably have heard of the story of how my computer just completely died, and I tried everything to try and recover it, and I couldn't. I lost a lot of stuff, including all my screenshots folders, so I can't show you screenshots to accompany of the things I'm about to say. But I mean, you could go on YouTube and search Matt Lowne Monorail Station for each respective park, and you can see in the thumbnail of those videos what I'm talking about. So, Mirror Lake was my first Planet Coaster park that I kind of filmed for YouTube, and that was just basically a kind of generic, well, not generic, but an old-timey steam train station that I kind of copied off Google Images, but it was for a monorail, so it looked a bit weird, it looked a bit out of place. So Neptune Park, far more modern affair. I don't think I built it from any sort of muse, I just sort of built it from my own imagination. Because I was, much more youthful, full of hope at that point. I was 23. Life was, an open meadow ahead of me, and now I'm 28. And, I'm old now. I'm ancient by internet standards. I know there are a lot of people in the comments who will say, well, I'm much older than that. And I'm saying, I had to explain to a 20-year-old the other day what a floppy disk was. And I'm not just saying this the meme. I work in the, I can't say too much without, patient confidentiality, but I work in the medical field. I had a 20-year-old patient, and we were just talking about kind of computer use and how to stop your eyes from hurting from using a computer, and somehow floppy disks came up, and he had no idea what floppy disks were. And I was like, oh, it's the save icon in Microsoft Word, that. And I was like, wow, I'm an elderly person. I'm that age now. I was like, sure, granddad, let's get you to bed. So yeah, I'm old by, the majority of the demographic of this channel. Weird sentence, I know, but yeah, I'm probably older than that. So yes. How did I get onto this again? Oh yes, the history of Matt Lowne monorail station designs. What an interesting topic that sounds like. But yes, we've covered the Mirror Lake and Neptune Park design. Next in line was Crimson Tower. And yeah, that was my next park, and hit and miss. The main monorail station was pretty good, but then there were a couple of others around the park weren't so great. I don't know, wasn't that great. But then Velocity Lake hit, and I was really, really happy. It was like a big glass and steel honeycomb structure. It looked really, really good. But looking back now I've built this monorail station that you can't even see on screen and building some tunnels. A great timing on my half. I think this is probably the best monorail station I've ever built. My only major regret is I think I built the rail too low. The actual monorail, I could have built it a bit higher off the ground, because later on, a lot later on in this series, I'll be building a road that goes underneath the monorail track. And as you can see, there, it's gone now again, but the monorail itself is quite low. You know, it could be a bit higher. I feel like a very oversized lorry, like, you know, truck, for those who live in less civilized English-speaking countries, would struggle to get under that track without hitting it. But, you know, the act of raising it higher above the ground at this point, I mean, look, I built this big tunnel entrance. I built that big station. Like, it would just be... it would just be so much effort. It would be so much effort to raise it up because that building is not hollow. There's a pathway inside that building with a staircase and the guest spawner. And I thought, you know what, we'll just accept this as a weird architectural quirk. You know, we were just being experimental when designing this particular monorail track. We thought it was going to be the monorail track of the future. It weren't to be, but you live and you learn. And that's just the one regret I have, really. Now, I'm skipping ahead a bit here to a point where I've kind of built a parking lot. And yes, I've now deleted it because I just hated how it came out. It's going to be a recurring theme over the next few episodes or so. I'm going to be just like deleting road infrastructure, building some different road infrastructure, then deleted that because hating it. Like, I hated it. And it's going to be a little while before I settle on a parking lot and road infrastructure that I like. So right now it's deleted. I'm just playing around with a few things here and there. I'm just showing you the rough placement of it because... so you know, like, oh, that's why there is now a road there. But now I'm going to crossfade to a point where I've built that road. Yeah, look at that. That was hours and hours and hours and hours of work that I ended up deleting. But I feel like I had to show at least part of the footage of me building it just to provide context as to why it's there. So that road is there. It ain't going to be around forever. It's just there for now. So that's why I didn't waste your time showing it to you. That's one of my regrets about Velocity Lake as a Planet Coaster series. I did this with Velocity Lake. I built loads of different kinds of car infrastructure, hated it, deleted it, built it again. But that was like, you know, lots and lots of time that I wasted for you viewers. I value your time very much, believe it or not. As much as this commentary has been evidence of the contrary, yeah, I thought I'd try and avoid that this time around. So yes, I wasn't happy with that road infrastructure, so I deleted it. I haven't been doing that on screen for the past sort of however many seconds or minutes or so. I've been finishing off some of the supports of the yellow roller coaster. I noticed a lot of the supports were just hovering in the air because I kind of done some terraforming and I forgot to address the supports that were affected by that terraforming. And with that all out of the way, that's pretty much this video over. We've done the terraforming of the roller coaster and fixed the supports, done the monorail station, so I'll just show you a quick POV of that roller coaster because we just did work on it, and then I'll be back in a second, I guess. And there we are, pulling into the station. And that wraps up today's episode of Adventure Woods Planet Coaster series. There are some patrons on screen. I'm actually aware that the Patreon list might be outdated because I'm recording these videos so far in advance that my patrons will probably change. So no offense if your name isn't here. That's just how it be. At least it will be there for like my premiere series with KSP and Space News. Oh, I've run out of time. Well, that's it.